Woo! Okay. This dress is itchy, but here we are. Hello my eclectic souls, my name is Adrianna and I'd love to welcome you back today. I'm gathering myself. I'm not used to being this prepped as a lady. I mean, the last time I wore this dress was at my sister's wedding 4 years ago. Oh my god. But here we are. How have you guys been? I hope 2021 has been treating you wonderfully, and if not, we're all in this together. We're gonna get what we want in this life and we're gonna do it. So last year I started my YouTube channel and I wanted to go ahead and just do a little Q&A with whatever questions you guys threw at me on my Instagram. So here we go. So the first question that I was asked was, what made you start YouTube? I don't know why when I first read it, I thought, oh my gosh, I really don't know why I started YouTube. But I would say the first reason was I was really nervous to talk in front of a camera. I'm very camera shy. Usually with my honeys, if he is helping me shoot, I'm okay for like the first couple minutes, and then all of a sudden I just get like, I don't want to be in front of the camera anymore. On top of that, I really wanted to learn how to edit videos, and it was more of a challenge for me as I was just getting back into sewing. I thought, why not kind of document and try to learn these two things at once, which is really hard, but it's been very fun and I like challenges. I was not getting that at work, so I am getting that through this creative outlet. I'm really good at not being on topic, so I guess for the question, to fully answer it, I am just wanting to kind of document my sewing journey, getting back into that, figuring out ways on how to communicate to people, because let me tell you, 2020 was so difficult. I literally feel like a non-social butterfly, like in public now or around my friends. I feel like I cannot conversate. Just kind of like beep, boop, beep, beep. So I hope this would help me be able to talk and not be trapped in my little corner forever. So the next question that I was asked was, how did you get into sewing? And I would love to start. Yes, you should start. Whatever your heart desires, I think you guys should all give it a shot. This is definitely me. I will go back to the very beginning. Probably in elementary school, my mom got into quilting, and the community centers here in town would do like little adventures, like on a bus with all these little old people who did quilting, and my mom and I were like the youngest people there. But we had a lot of fun just going to different fabric stores, and even though everybody, and my mom included, were buying things to quilt, I was looking at fabrics that I just really loved and kind of wanted to make clothes for my Barbies at the time, or my Brat dolls, whatever it was, and let me just tell you, they ended up coming out very janky. But I had a really good time getting to know fabrics and just the patterns that all the fabrics had. It was just kind of fun to see all these different little pieces of art. And probably a couple years after that, we stopped. My mom didn't continue with quilting, and I just was involved in my little sports that I was doing at the time, soccer and softball. And not until probably high school, I had babysitting money and was purchasing, you know, clothes that I wanted, like I thought were name brand. And I just really loved the uniqueness to them. And I got back into kind of fashion, as my fashion sense was not. Let me just say, I did not know how to really put together a thrifted, a hand-me-down outfit. I was just very in my head. But my senior year, for my senior project, I made 2 dresses. I don't have them, they were terrible. And I think I flipped like 2 garments. One was kind of like a baby doll shirt. I ended up just cutting the top off and using the like baby doll part as a skirt. So just really funny. I graduated in 2012 and it is almost 10 years. It's insane. But I just got back into sewing literally like 9 years later, because in 2019 I started to get back into the mood of wanting to sew my own clothes. I was tired of buying things that I just did not absolutely love, and I just kept nitpicking at everything, like this should hit me here, the sleeves are too big or they're too short, but it fits me fine here. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get back into making my own clothes. Question number 3 was, what equipment did you need to start your channel? And the equipment that I needed off the bat was definitely a ring light and a tripod. I already had my camera, and my cousin is a photographer. He actually recommended this camera as I was just wanting to starting a blog on Instagram, and with that, he said I was able to take good photos. It was refurbished. I didn't have to spend so much money for it. And I could record video if I did so choose. So thank you, Wes, for helping me get this camera, because I am now doing YouTube videos and it works perfectly. For the next things, such as my microphone, which I did need, I went ahead and watched a couple YouTube videos trying to see what would work for me. It could be used for your phone, because at first I was thinking, well, if I did kind of like vlog kind of videos, that would be good to have. That could just go from camera to phone, so I can use it for both. I've only ever used it on my Canon. The last thing that I did need to purchase equipment wise, I guess I would say, is an editing app. I have my HP, my Windows, that I needed to have a program that would help me. And when you are, roaming the internet, I feel like they're listening to you or really paying attention to what you're watching, which is very creepy. I kept getting this advertisement for Filmora, so I ended up looking into it and watching some YouTube videos as well, and I want like the basic thing. So I just purchased Filmora, the one, I believe I purchased like the middle one where you buy it with some audio and some kind of editing specs to it, and versus like the higher up one and the very cheap one. Those were about the 4 things I would say that you may need to go ahead and get started. But I, again, am no professional. There are so many great YouTubers out there. I am just a little baby right now on the YouTube spectrum, and just do your research. I would definitely say that. There's a lot of people who have provided lots of wonderful information, and at the end of the day, it just goes down to niche it down to what you will work better with. Question number 4, I was asked, who are my favorite YouTubers, or the YouTubers that inspire me? And I have about 8 of them. So let me just go ahead and list them. If you have a few of these in common with me, please comment down below. They're fabulous ladies. They're all women actually, and Rachel Maskey was probably one of the first people that I started to really watch on YouTube, and around her kept popping up Karolina Zawrowska. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, girl. But they were probably my top 2 favorite YouTubers who inspired me. I love kind of that saltiness Carolina gives. It's just, I don't know how to explain her personality. I just really love. It's almost dry in a sense, and I guess I was drawn to her because she reminded me of a few people that I went to theater with, or I did theater with, and it just kind of brings back happy memories, and she always makes me laugh in her videos. And Rachel, I think she is as well. She's a goofy girl, a goofy woman, and I just really appreciate that coming across. And I like to be dolled up and stuff, but in all reality, I am a huge goofball, and I guess I'm not a huge glam person, so being able to have people be representative of that kind of personality on YouTube makes me feel really wonderful, and I guess not ashamed of myself. You know what I mean? They're very unique type of people, and I'm really drawn to those types of souls. So like the next person would say Yo Home Girl, Natalie I believe is her name. One of my best friends, she recommended her to me. She is a Peruvian girl living in Korea, and she's just like a pop of color, and her energy is always so up, and she's just such a fun person to watch that I really love. The next person that I started watching was Jasmine Chiswell. She's just the sweetest. I was really getting drawn, especially with Rachel Maskey and Catalina, getting involved in some vintage vibes. So once you saw her, I mean, I feel like everybody just kind of falls in love with her. She's just like this sweet, sweet woman and just fun. She is very goofy as well, and I think I'm very drawn to that, to be able to have, you know, playful people who are excited about life and just living their life how they want to be, and not like everybody else is living their life, if you know what I'm getting to in that sense. The next person that I started to follow was Elise Butch, and she owns a thrift store where she lives. She owns a thrift store, so it's just really cool to see kind of her behind the scenes on, you know, the products that she's putting in there. And she's just this boho vibe of, I love feeling like I live in summer and spring all year long. So I definitely get that vibe from her, even though she had like some wonderful Christmas videos that came out. I just really appreciate her vibe and her she's very calm, and I think it's something calming to watch her videos as well. The next person I really jumped on the wagon was Kelly Stamps. She's hilarious. I think she's really dry and blunt, kind of like Catalina is, in a different way. And she is probably the one who really got me to start my YouTube channel. I was watching her videos, and I think it was something like, you should become a YouTuber kind of video, and I think that was the push that I needed, the inspiration of just like, you need to do it. Like, stop toying around, just get it done. And I did, thanks to her, and she's just really fun to watch as well. The last two people that I do watch, Daniela Taboa. I started watching her because of her sewing videos. She is just brilliant. I love her items. They're just amazing, and I think she's just very, very raw. But Daniela Taboa is very just a raw person, and I love that about her and her channel, that she just shares with you kind of, you know, the reality aspect of being a designer, who she is. And I think one video that was just really drew me to her was a video where she spoke about, you know, fast fashion stealing younger, you know, brands of people like herself, where you don't hear about these slow fashion people who are creating brilliant work and they're just out here to get money the other people. So I love that about her, and it just made me feel like, you know what, I want to be part of this community. I really want to go ahead and stick around with slow fashion and thrifting and bringing back these beautiful silhouettes and putting more detail into our work, instead of just buying like some quick item on the side of the street kind of thing. You know what I mean? My last YouTuber that I'll go ahead and chat about, I know I have a lot, was Natalia Amaro, and she started a sustainable fashion brand right after she graduated fashion school. So it's just really inspiring for, maybe, I didn't really see myself going to school, but someone who is giving and feeding that information of what she learned. I think that is our best way of learning, is from other people, and sharing our knowledge with everybody, and being able to receive that from her is just, it's really nice to kind of see her aspect. And she is very detailed with how she kind of goes through her business and how she started it and what she does, and I really appreciate that, and I admire her. Even though she's younger than me, I just, you know, you have to learn from generations that are younger and up and coming, because we're here to all evolve, and let's just get it done. So question number 5 was, did you go to school for fashion and sewing, or do you plan on going? And the answer is no, based off of how I shared how I got into sewing. I did actually, right after high school, apply to go to FITM and the Art Institute in San Francisco, but I realized at that time that I had too many ideas. I didn't know how to pick and choose. I just felt like, what if I choose that one and it's wrong? And at that time, my parents were like, just go to the community college and kind of explore around, and you can see, you know, at that point what you want to do. And I ended up just doing theater, which I really loved, which went to traveling, and I just went right back to sewing, which is just really weird how the world like leads you back to something. So I really just listened to that and thought, you know, well, this is what I'm going to focus on. Do I plan on going? I think I'm willing to try right now to do things on my own, and it's not necessarily on my own because we have this platform, YouTube, that is really allowing us to interact and learn from the rest of the world. I think I am someone who really likes to learn from the world. I love traveling. I love to get to see different people. I don't want to just learn from one person, I guess. I want to learn from an array of people and just be able to evolve in the most profound and explorative way. I guess right now I'm gonna say no to school. Maybe in the future. I'm definitely someone who have always told myself this. My cousin used to tell me, like,
you don't go to school right after you're in high school, like you're never gonna go.
And it's like, at the end, I decide that. Because if you realize that you really need schooling and you're not learning these things on your own, taking that initiative, then yeah, maybe you do need to go to school. But if I'm doing all this stuff that you would be learning in school on my own time, that's just, you took that initiative and you don't necessarily need to have that through school. As I move on now, question number 6 was, where do you buy your fabrics and how much do you typically buy? I definitely look for fabric at the thrift stores, and I enjoyed looking at Hobby Lobby. There's an online store called Fabric Wholesale Direct. I really appreciated those stores being online. Now, question number 7 I had was, what skills do you wish you knew prior that could make your channel successful? And I am someone who's kind of like, I like to think about things very thoroughly, but sometimes you just need to jump in that cold water, if you understand what I'm saying. I have a lot of skills that I don't know in the sewing and YouTube, and I'm making those mistakes and wanting to learn from them. So I think I can't really pinpoint. I know there's something, like I still can't make a dang button with my sewing machine, so that is something that I would love to maybe be shown or like learn. Even though I've watched how many YouTube videos on how to do that, I just can't figure it out with my sewing machine. It's like a personal level with your sewing machine, you guys. And even with editing, I think that is a skill that I have not figured out my own niche, because the people that I follow on YouTube, they have brilliant editing skills, and you have to realize that people don't get there just in one shot. Maybe someone does, but think of it, everyone had their journey, and I'm on my journey right now. Question number 8 is, what motivates you? And I would say a lot of things motivate me, really. The main thing I feel like with sewing is, I think as we're younger, we really try to figure out what the heck we want to do in our life. And we may try so many different things, and until you realize that one of those things is really what you're supposed to be doing, you have this kind of moment where you realize, like, I really want to spend my time on this. That this is something that I could make a living with if I really give it my all. Like, I could make a living with, all these ideas, making my own little clothing line versus reselling thrifted items and vintage pieces, and just really loving what the job can be. I think really motivates me and makes me realize if I do give this my all and I can make a living out of it, I'm doing something that I love. And when you're making that income, you are able to then, you know, buy a house that you want to do and live with the person that you want to live with. And there's just so many little domino pieces in this question. I feel like just life is motivating me to really pursue this so that I can have that happy life. These next two are kind of a little bit more personal, or kind of personal. How was Mexico and how long were you gone for? I was in Mexico for 3 weeks. Mexico during quarantine, honestly, it was not bad. We stayed home most of the time just because in our town there were quite a few people getting sick. I think my uncles had gotten COVID, but we stayed away. We were not anywhere near them. Everyone was doing really well at like abiding with the protocols and whatnot. Sometimes when you went down to the plaza, you could see people who weren't wearing them, or you know, it was just got kind of busy, but you took that into yourself, like, I'm just gonna go home now and stay away from that. But it was so beautifully sunny. I wish I was there now because I love warm weather. I really loved it. Even when we were going to certain towns to do mandados, which was our shopping, everybody wore masks. The only time you didn't was if you stopped to get food. They still had that open, but I mean, I was there for a whole month and I didn't catch COVID. So be very just precautionary wherever you go. When I was at the airport, even, because I flew out there and then drove back with my parents, I got dropped off and I walked in, and it probably took me like 5 minutes to talk to the person to check my bags. There was no line, and then from there I just walked through security. In like less than 10 minutes I was already at my gate just hanging out, and everybody was, you know, 6 feet apart, sitting apart, and there was like nobody in there. So I honestly don't think that traveling is too bad right now. It's just, you obviously need to care for yourself because you don't know what other people, how they're carrying. So, you know, I hand sanitized at every moment that I could. Didn't really take my mask off. On the airplane though, I did wear like another layer so that I could have just like peeled it off once I landed and got in the car with my family. And yeah, I really loved it. My town seemed really empty. I think everybody is like in the States now, but yeah, it was, to me, it kind of just like a normal trip, aside, you know, being at quarantine where people are just being very cautionary. I just noticed that the chicken's laying an egg right now, so I'm really sorry if you hear them in the video. But the last question that I have is, what are your top favorite items you've bought at a thrift store? And I love that question. Five things that I would say, like, overall thrifting that I really love, and they're my 2 nightgowns. I'll go ahead and take a picture of them and put them up for you guys. I purchased a yellow one. That was probably my first thing that I really ever vintage that I had thrifted, and I just love it. The little jacket is actually a little peignoir jacket, but it did not go with the nightgown that I bought. And the next one was a white one that I had just thrifted at the end of last year in 2020. And I love beautiful, dainty items like that. I am a huge sleeper, so I loved the idea of a bougie nightgown, even though I haven't slept in them yet, but those are probably my top 2 favorite. The other things that I really like are my 2 fur coats. You can see them in my coat thrift haul from last year. I love those fur coats. I think they just elevate any outfit and you can feel bougie. I like feeling bougie because I'm not really bougie, but it gives me that idea that I can be bougie. And the last thing I just thrifted actually last week was a velvet jumpsuit. It was from Nordstrom. I don't know when. I'm probably gonna say the 80s because the way it looks is definitely kind of 80s vibes. And I wore it to Tahoe and I just really loved it. I like jumpsuits and overalls because I don't like to have to worry about like the rest of my outfit. Just something that you can quickly put on and feel put together is something I really appreciate. So those would probably be my top 5 things that I've thrifted in overall. That brings us to the end of our questions and the video. If you have not already liked and subscribed, I would greatly appreciate that from you guys. And if you had any other questions, if you don't follow me on Instagram, just go ahead and comment below and I would be just so willing to go ahead and answer that for you. Anything that I did not link, just comment as well and I'll try my best to go ahead and put those on there, and I'll try to do that all in the description as well. I thank you guys so much for staying tuned and watching and listening to me just talk. And I hope you stay well. Bye!
Sabes que no es, te doy el desquite, que me quites todas esas ganas que te tengo muerto. Todo el mundo sabe que tú